Hello everyone, I'm Amana Tunis from Combat Talks UK, and it is my honor to be joined by former challenger to the UFC Interim Lightweight Championship, the Motown Phenom, Kevin Lee. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, brother, I'm good. Let's get straight into it. We've seen that you've said you aren't retired in the sport of MMA, but what exactly is
Right.
in your future? Are you still with the UFC or are you in negotiations with any other organizations in the moment?
Right now, I'm a free agent, and I'm in negotiations with a few other motions, and I'm leaving my options open. Most important is that I become the best lightweight fighter in the world. So with whatever organization it's in, that's what it's in. I'm gonna focus on a better uh, maximizing my potential.
So 155 is definitely the division you want to fight back in.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be 155. I mean, depending on how the negotiations go and who is the opponent, we could do it or something like that. But five is my division.
We've seen obviously when you left the UFC initially, you worked with Eagle FC. How was that experience for you and like burying the hatchet, so called, with Habib? Because obviously you two had that back and forth and with his team and everything. How was that with you?
Yeah, honestly, it was a good experience. It taught me a lot through going through that. That was the only other promotion that I've worked with besides the UFC, obviously. And I think one of the big things it showed me is I still have a lot of star power in MMA and in the world. A lot of people are interested in seeing. I think that fight, me being injured so early on in that fight, was a bit of a hindrance to that. But it overall, as far as the promotion, as far as the far as what I brought to the table of it, I was pretty happy and pretty proud of that. I wish that we could have continued on, but I guess the God has other plans. So, uh, I'm going to continue to do my best. And now that I'm healed from that injury, now that I had the surgery after having that Eagle fight, I'm ready to get back at it.
How has recovery been for you since you've had that surgery and everything?
Yeah, I'm about a year out from surgery. I had the surgery September 12th of last year, and I feel stronger now than I have in years. Really, I spent about
Yeah.
2 years injured. I was injured in that fight, and I didn't heal it. I didn't get surgery. I just tried to fight through it and ended up re-tearing it over and over and multiple times. Anybody who has had multiple ACL injuries know that it's just a lengthy process. But you come back stronger after the surgery, and that's how I'm feeling right now.
Um, the fans have seen you go through your own spiritual journey as well, with you reverting to Islam. How did that come about, and how big of a role is Islam in your life right now?
Islam is the most important role in my life right now. It's what's keeping me sane. It's what's keeping me going. It's what giving me the hope for the future. And it's what I got my life on right now. I don't really pay attention to any other people. I try my best not to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
I think Islam is really brought me internally. It's really caused me to get a lot of peace in my life. So I don't necessarily get bothered by the same things that I used to. Not only that, it's allowed me to control my emotions a lot more because I'm more in tune with who I am as a person, and I think me understanding that I am a Muslim and that I need to abide by these rules that have been set forth has really guided me in my life.
Have you noticed that the Muslims and all the Muslims around the world have such a tight unity and brotherhood around the world?
I have, which is something that's very commendable. But at the same time, a lot of people think that I reverted to Islam for that reason. To be amongst the people that really show so much support for each other. But
Yeah.
that's honestly not what guided me to it. That's not that is a very, 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 very small part of the motivation behind it.
Yeah,
I think my relationship with God is between me and Him alone. I don't really, you don't really see me uh hang around too many other Muslims, even just because I feel that my relationship is very personal with it, and I don't really drag many other people into it.
yeah,
So other people in this world is not a motivation for me making that change. A lot of people think that I did it after signing with Eagle and mending with Khabib, like you spoke about. But I made I made Shahada before the I even had
okay,
conversations with Khabib. I made Shahada before I even was cut from the UFC the first time. Um, it's just something that I kept private.
okay, okay. We've recently seen another fighter who lost so many fights and now gained back into the top five of the UFC, Dan Hooker. Does that
Yeah,
give you any motivation and like so basically you can prove to yourself that and other people that it's possible to make it back to the top of the sport after taking a few losses?
absolutely. There's guys like, I mean, we've seen this multiple times. There's guys like Dan Hooker. There's guys like Charles Oliveira who I fought um who I when I fought him, this is before he won the UFC lightweight championship, before he had those great fights with Chandler, before he had those great fights with Poirier. Um, Even I had kind of wrote him off a little bit and said that he wasn't an elite fighter. I didn't find out until halfway through the fight how elite he actually is. So I look at guys like him. I look at guys like Dan Hooker. I look at guys like Robbie Lawler, who is a bit of a mentor to me right now.
Yeah.
And those guys give me the motivation to know that I can keep going. I'm only 31 years old. My birthday is next week. I'll be 32. So I'm entering the prime of my life. I'm at a stage where now it's going to be very important what I do next, and I'm not wasting any more time.
Um, how's your relationship with Dana White and the matchmakers at the UFC?
There's a lot of respect between me and the matchmakers. There's respect between me and Dana. I keep an arm's length with those relationships just because at the end of the day there is business involved, right?
Yeah.
So I'm signed with Ali Abalaziz. He is the one that contacts them for me. I don't. I try my best not to have a personal relationship with them. Even though there's a lot of respect between us. They know what I bring to the table. They know that I bring exciting fights. They know I'm willing to go across the world and fight people in their hometown with thousands of people against me. A lot of people try and write that off, but that's actually a very critical thing. A lot of these guys just aren't willing to put their test or put their medal on the line like that. And I'm a guy who has shown that I'm willing to do that time and time again. Uh, if they need a guy, they know that they can call on me. And I'm always sticking by my word. Since I've been with the UFC for over 10 years now, and I've always stuck by my word. If I said I'm gonna do something, I show up and I get that done.
Um, Dana White, it's like a bit of a meme at this point. Dana White has made it clear he believes Jon Jones is the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Do you
Yeah.
agree with him?
Let's speak on that. Yeah, so I heard his argument the other day about that, right? Um, and this is something that I feel like people uh that are coming up in the sport are really taking a good look at. It's almost better if you don't fight sometimes. Uh, like the media has said, Jon Jones has only fought one time in the last 3 years. And as far as I know, he hasn't had major surgeries or significant injuries stopping him from fighting. And you take a guy like me, right?
Yeah.
Was against Gregor Gillespie in 2019, where Dana kind of told the world about me and really, that really elevated my status. Um, it would have been almost better had I not fought since I fought Charles Oliveira and came back now. I feel like we don't give respect to the people who really go out there and just put everything on the line. Injured, not injured, whatever it is, we show up and we fight. It seems like Dana gives almost more respect to guys for sitting out. I don't think if you would have asked him a year ago or 2 years ago, was Jon Jones the best pound for pound fighter? I don't think he would have said yes. I think he would have came up with other reasons at why he's not. Um, if you're the best fighter in the world, you're the best fighter today. You're the best fighter tomorrow. You're the best fighter on one leg. And that's kind of how I view it. But I guess not everybody views it that way.
Do you think maybe because Francis Ngannou left the UFC, there was some animosity between them two that is played into the fact that Dana has to say that Jon Jones is the best fighter in the world?
I could see that. I think that, and this is why I say that I kind of keep a arm's reach between me and Dana, as far as us, our business relationship, because at the end of the day, he is a promoter. At the end of the day, he has a product that he's trying to sell. He's not necessarily in it just straight for the purity of the sport. Um, so I think by like you said, Francis is getting ready to come back and make a return into MMA. So his way of kind of making sure that people know he has the best fighter and Francis is not the best fighter, even though Francis left as the UFC heavyweight champion, and he's still going to be a heavyweight champion when he wins this next fight. His way of downplaying that is to bring up the history of Jon Jones and to make sure that that sound is amplified more than anything.
Another fighter who's looking to return in December or near the start of the year is Conor McGregor against Michael Chandler. How do you think
Yep.
that fight will play out?
It's a big if that fight happens. I train with Chandler down here at Killcliff in Miami. And Chandler is a very disciplined, dedicated guy. And I think he has been constantly getting better. I think I think Chandler wins that fight. I think Chandler would have won it a year ago. I think he'll win it now. It's just a matter of if they'll actually step in there and fight. That's the biggest question mark around that one.
Um, Many fans would have loved to have seen a Conor McGregor versus Kevin Lee fight, and especially at the build-up at press conference. Did you have any
Yeah,
talks or discussions around that around 2017 when you were both at like your peak, peak, peak?
yeah. That was the fight that was meant to happen. If you remember right, I fought for the interim lightweight championship, which was Conor's title. He went over, he fought Floyd Mayweather in August of 2017. And I was willing to step up and fight Tony in October of that year. So the plan was I get the interim lightweight championship, and then me and Connor fight after that in December of that year. Obviously, things didn't work out that way. There was a big card in Detroit that we were meant to fight on. Uh, you know, like I said, God has other plans sometimes. We plan for these things. We do our best for them. I learned a lot from taking that Tony Ferguson fight. Again, I think that showed, how willing I am to fight the best guys in the world, especially at their peak. Nobody else was willing to fight Tony Ferguson at the time, so there was no doubt that the Conor fight would have been massive. Um, is it still a possibility one day? I don't know. I don't really. I'm not really looking. I'm not really looking that far ahead. I have a lot of work to do in front of me. I got a lot of. It's a very tall mountain to climb, and I'm basically starting from the bottom all over again. I'm basically starting again as a 21-year-old, even though I'm 31 now.
Yeah. You touched on Tony Ferguson. He's going through it at the
Yep.
moment. He's had an eight fight losing streak. We thought he was
Yep.
retired after his last fight, but then straight after he said he wasn't retired. What are your thoughts on Tony, and do you think he should retire?
I think he should retire, but that's not for me to say. I know he has sons, and uh, I know he has a lot of people looking up to him. Again, he has massive star power. No matter where he is in the world, he could put on a great fight. But if it was to me, if I was Tony's real friend, I would tell him that he probably should look to retire and do something else. I just don't like seeing that amount of damage being taken, and we're seeing it start to really take a toll on him. As far as his ability to speak and his, I just don't think we want to go down that road and test that out. We've seen this before with boxers of the past, of the 60s and the 70s. Um, some of those guys have hundreds of fights, right?
Yeah.
Tony is probably at about 50 professional fights, I would guess. I'm sitting at about 30 professional fights. Could he continue to do it? Could he continue to win? Yeah, absolutely. But there's going to be a cost to everything. People have asked me, am I interested in that fight? To be honest, I'm not. I don't think that would make me feel better about the loss in 2017 because he's not the same. He doesn't move the same as he did back then. I think when I fought him, I fought the best Tony Ferguson, and that guy's just not coming back. Uh, Father Time beats us all.
Yeah. As a Brit, there's a fighter from around here who has now cracked into the rankings in the UFC, Paddy Pimblett. What are your thoughts on him as
Right.
a fighter? And would you love to make a return against Paddy Pimblett, which would be a huge fight here in the States, in the UK or the States?
That would be an awesome fight. I think against any of these lightweights, I pose a very unique challenge for them. You know, my blend of wrestling, jujitsu, and striking. You it's very rare. I think the only guy who's close is Armin. Uh, and Patty it just isn't ready for this level of competition. So yeah, I would love to fight Patty, but again, we'll see how this whole thing plays out. We'll see if I end up back in the UFC. We'll see if I end up with another promotion. I'm honestly I'm not really sure, and I'm leaving that up to my management right now to take care of.
Going away from fighting, we've seen in recent years your brother, he's risen to
Yeah,
superstardom on TikTok as the biggest
yeah.
food reviewer in the world. How big of a surprise was this for you and your family when you first saw him initially blow up on social media?
I'm not gonna say it's a surprise. From the beginning of his career, um, from the time he was 18 years old, I always told him that he is gonna be bigger than me. He has a certain personality. He has a certain charisma about him. He has a certain heart and ethics that is just unmatched between anybody that I've ever seen. So am I surprised by that? No, I think he's gonna get even bigger. I think this is just the beginning of him and realizing his full potential. And no, I'm not surprised. I think people love him. He's doing a lot of good for people. He's really helping a lot of people who are struggling right now in this world. People who have worked their whole lives and they need a little boost, and he's really helping people. So I'm super proud of that, and I'm honestly more proud of that than any fight that he's won or any fight that he's gone through with. He's really sticking with this, and I think it's just the beginning. I think he's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as long as he stays true to himself, which I have no doubt that he's going to do.
With you, by the way. We have also seen on TikTok that you have made your own food place, Braised. How's that going? And
Yeah.
was your brother an inspiration for you making that?
Yeah, no doubt he was an inspiration. I've always loved cooking. That's kind of been the other half of my life. The first half has been fighting, and the second half, usually at night, is cooking, right? So it's something that I've always loved. And I didn't necessarily see a lot of business opportunity in it until my brother, right?
Yeah,
Um, it's on pause right now because I need to secure a fight. I need to 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 have some way to fund it. You know, these things do take money in order to make happen.
yeah.
So I'm hoping to make that happen with my next fight. Um, because I don't want to rely on the community and take people's money in order to fund it. I'd rather get it with my own two hands first. So right now it's a bit of a pause on it. But that's something that I'm definitely looking to expand into the future.
Kevin, I don't want to take too much of your time, so I've got one final question. What do you want to say to all the Motown Phenom fans out there right now?
I say expect big things. I say keep fighting. That's the only thing that I could really tell them. That's the only advice that I could give. Is we're gonna keep fighting and we're gonna keep pursuing excellence. It might not always look the exact way that you want it to, but we're gonna make sure it happens.
Kevin, I appreciate your time and I look forward to speaking to you in the future.
All right, thanks.